Hi guys, this is Erica from Gokche Capital. Now before I begin, be sure to click subscribe and turn on the notification bell. In 2019, the School Board of Alachua County, Florida was tricked into buying a property for twice what it was worth. What happened? We'll find out at the end of this video. But first, if you have ever made a major real estate investment, you know that negotiations can be complex, and a letter of intent can be used to nail down some key terms while others are worked out. So in today's video, we have the top things you should know about this document. Number 1, what is a letter of intent in real estate? A letter of intent is a non-binding agreement that outlines the sale or lease terms and conditions. It's intended to start as a draft agreement and become a finalized contract later. The legally binding contract is the purchase and sale agreement or lease agreement. Number 2, when is a letter of intent used? A letter of intent is used in commercial real estate or other real estate transactions when negotiations are complex. It serves as an initial offer, and it's prepared based on preliminary information that was provided by the seller or selling broker. It helps start the negotiation process and nails down initial key terms, but still gives both parties time to negotiate and hash out the final terms. Number 3, is a letter of intent legally binding? No. The short answer is that a letter of intent is typically not legally binding. That said, the parties can determine to make a letter of intent binding between themselves. If the parties determine this, the document includes the binding status in written form. Number 4, how does a letter of intent work? Well, here's an overview of the basic process. Of course, every deal varies, so you should always consult with your own lawyer before initiating a letter of intent. Step 1, the buyer or tenant views the property. This visit will determine if the space or property suits their real estate needs. Number 2, after the initial walkthrough, the buyer or tenant will decide if they want to proceed with the transaction. If they do, they complete a letter of intent and present it to the owner for review. This letter offers a general description of the proposed real estate transaction and may include information like the desired financial terms and completion dates. Following this submission, negotiations between the two parties will continue. Step 3, when the sales conditions have been negotiated successfully, a binding contract, such as a purchase and sale agreement, will be drafted and reviewed by each party. Step 4, the inspection period occurs. This step occurs typically when a purchase agreement is used, as there is often a clause that grants the buyer a specified amount of time during which to perform proper inspection of the premises. If the buyer is satisfied with the inspection results, then the buyer's offer will be accepted. And Step 5, the closing occurs. Number 5, what are the advantages of a letter of intent? The main advantage is that a letter of intent is easy to make because it is short, and because there are many templates online, it's easy to send one out quickly and get an offer on the table. Plus, there is less pressure on the buyer when making an offer through a letter of intent because it is typically not legally binding. But let's take a look at a quick example. This is a one-page template letter of intent, and it includes a short introduction paragraph, a section with the details of the property, the consideration being offered, conditions for the transaction, such as any due diligence items that must be performed prior to purchase, a line that this is not an official offer, and then the expected timing for the transaction. So as you can see, a letter of intent is a very brief item, which is why it is easy to get it out quickly. And there are many templates online, but it is always a good idea to work with a real estate attorney before submitting a letter of intent on the property you are interested in. But now that we've covered the basics of a letter of intent, let's return to the Alachua County School Board. In 2019, the County Public Schools Board entered into an agreement with 2 local real estate agents to assist in the purchase of a new property. The 2 agents had brought the property to the school board's attention a few months prior, informing the board that the land was on the market and could be purchased at a discount if the board moved quickly. The property in question was owned by a longtime client of the agents, a local developer, Trematera, who had purchased the property in 2018 for $1.85 million. The county faced overcrowding in several schools and needed land for future expansion, so the assistant superintendent agreed to pursue the deal. The school board then awarded the agents a 3-year contract to assist them with the purchase of the land along with other real estate services. Yet shortly before the contract was executed, the agents signed a commission agreement with Trematera in which the developer agreed to pay a 3% commission on the sale of the land. The agents contended that since they had not yet signed a contract with the school board, they had no fiduciary responsibility to the board. While it is common for a Florida agent to represent both buyer and seller in complex real estate deals, both parties must usually give their consent to the arrangement. And it was not clear that the school board, or at least all school board members, were aware of the agent's relationship with Trematera. Still, a few months later, the school board signed a letter of intent offering $3.68 million for the property, and shortly after, the board purchased the land. Yet it soon became clear that the agents had worked to drive up the price by providing non-public information to the appraiser and rushing to publicly list the property online for $4.2 million, factors that came to light only after the deal was complete. Which just goes to show that a letter of intent can be a double-edged sword. Sometimes it can help avoid misunderstandings in complex deals, but in other cases it can be used to lock in unfavorable deal terms before a buyer is able to complete their due diligence. And in the case of the Alachua School Board, the decision to rush into a letter of intent ultimately set off a series of events that saddled the school board with a property that was worth less than they paid for it. But do you have any stories about real estate transactions or letters of intent? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this video? You're going to love our Gokce Land Due Diligence program. We'll make you a land due diligence expert in just 7 days. Check it out at gokcecapital.com/glad. And while you're at our website, don't forget to explore our $1 down listings at gokcecapital.com/listings. Finally, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email, call, or text, and we will respond as soon as possible. So thank you for listening, and more to come.